I think that's a great day for us, and looking forward to playing in front of a big, wildly supportive Michigan crowd base. Yeah, I mean it's both really, right? I mean it's both those things. It's both teams have a lot on the line. It's a true playoff in that sense. In the college football playoff world, I mean this is the start of the playoffs. The team that wins will advance. The team that doesn't won't. So it is that, and it's also the big game, the rivalry.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome in to this afternoon live on Monday, November the 22nd. We're ready to go and get things underway. Michigan-Ohio State week. That was Jim Harbaugh moments ago down in Ann Arbor talking at his weekly news conference, kicking off the Ohio State week. Audio was a little loud. Now we're good. Now we're ready to go. Yeah. We're going to hear a little bit more from Jim Harbaugh coming up in moments. We've got some of that news conference teed up. I asked on the Wolverine Den, and I'm asking you out there, if you're watching on YouTube and you have not answered that question, to complete the sentence, U of M will beat OSU if. And I'll have my answer coming up here straight ahead. I'll talk about how I'm feeling here today, kicking off the Michigan-Ohio State week. I'll look to the game coming up on Saturday. I'll also talk about how I'm feeling about Jim Harbaugh and get some thoughts on the basketball team and the performance out in Vegas. But yeah, let's hear a little bit more from Jim Harbaugh. We have the coach in his weekly press conference. Here he is. He's asked about the seniors and how they're taking ownership of this team heading into this game against Ohio State. Here's Jim Harbaugh.
How have they done it? They've just worked like crazy. They've daily, weekly, monthly, just wrung everything out. I mean, this is everything they've been working for, planning for, put themselves in this position, to be in this position.
On the right here, Austin.
Jim, do you expect Blake and Jamon to play Saturday?
I never know that question for sure. I mean, I know I get asked that every Monday, and is this player going to play? I don't know.
Larry?
Jim, what does it mean to you personally that this game means so much to Michigan again, and obviously to Ohio State, but that once again the game is really a game with more than just bragging rights and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean it's both really, right? I mean it's both those things. It's both teams have a lot on the line. It's a true playoff in that sense. In the college football playoff world, I mean this is the start of the playoffs. The team that wins will advance. The team that doesn't won't. So it is that, and it's also the big game, the rivalry.
On the right.
All right, let's jump in right there. A little Jim Harbaugh from down in Ann Arbor talking to the assembled media, getting this Michigan-Ohio State week out. I started about a minute in. He was, I asked some questions. Gene Wojciechowski from, I think he works for ESPN now, going back to the Harbaugh guarantee, and had some questions there, trying to get that thing going for his little feature. Jim Harbaugh did not want to go back to 35 years ago. He's has been asked a couple times this year to go back, and specifically about that guarantee against Ohio State. He's not having any part of that. And what good's it going to do to go back and start talking about guarantees from 35 years ago? Wait till you're done coaching and you're getting ready to write your book or do some kind of 30 for 30 or something. Then, go back and reflect while you're the coach, getting ready for the biggest game of your life. talking about going back 35 years ago. Don't need to do that. Well, you go back to Saturday. Michigan needed to get that done against Maryland, 59-18. They did, and now you get into this week, and you're I don't know where you're at. But you're a big Michigan fan if you're watching this, and so I do know where you're at. You start thinking about the game on Saturday. You started thinking about it even before it kicked off on Saturday because you watched Ohio State and Michigan State. Then you said, you know what? Does it matter that Ohio State, took Michigan State, dragged them up one side of the field, down the other, and, blew them out, and it was a complete massacre? Does that mean it's going to be this Saturday? Well, maybe. I mean, you had that feeling, and you thought, well, you know what? Michigan State's pass defense is their Achilles heel. And Michigan, how do you stop a great passing attack? Well, you get a rush up front, and you have a good secondary, and at least for just a second, at some point on Saturday or yesterday or even this morning, you've had to consider. And you know what? Michigan has what you need if you're going to try to slow down or contain or beat Ohio State, and that is to be able to contain those outstanding wide receivers and this quarterback who's now the Heisman favorite in C.J. Stroud, make them use not letting them get the gigantic plays. And let me answer that question that I posed to the Wolverine Den moments ago. That is a part of the Maize and Blue review message board. And I asked how U of M is going to beat Ohio State. And then I had people see if they wanted to complete that sentence. And for me, it's about keeping Ohio State from having these gigantic plays, too many of them. Like when I hear people say Michigan can't, they can't drop the ball. They can't have any turnovers. They can't miss field goals. They got to turn their red zones into touchdowns. I think all those are good points. But you know what? I'm pretty sure I'll guarantee that Michigan's going to make some mistakes on Saturday. They're going to have a pre-snap penalty. They're going to drop a football, probably. They might turn it over. That doesn't mean they can't win the game. So when I hear you they can't have any mistakes, but they can't have any. They can't give up any big plays. If you're going in thinking that Michigan has to play the perfect game, to beat Ohio State, now they've got to. The more that they can stay away from that kind of stuff, obviously, is going to even things up and give them a chance. But for me, I was going back to that Michigan State game, and to answer the question, I think that, and specifically, I'll just get right to it. I think Michigan can beat Ohio State if they keep the Buckeyes less than 5 big plays on offense. And I'm considering big plays of 20 yards or more. So I think they can give up 4. Now, Michigan, I went back and I did it really quick. So Michigan State may have had more, but Michigan State had 5 plays of 20 yards or more. And they had some gigantic ones, like a 60-some yard run by Kenneth Walker and all that. And when you look at the talent that Ohio State has, to say they can't give up any big plays, they're going to give up big plays. Now, hopefully they're not 70-yarders. Hopefully they're not 93-yarders like Andrell Anthony had against Michigan State. They're going to give up some. And, then it's going to come down to the offense being able to match that. But if they can hold those down after 5, that's how I'm answering the question. That's how Michigan can beat Ohio State, if they keep the Buckeyes under 5 plays of 20 yards or more. That's where I'm starting things out about how they win this game. How I feel heading into this week, everybody's got a little bit different feel on how things go. And, depending on what age, where you went to school, where you were born. I mean, all those kind of things, play into it. I've already heard a lot of people say, you just don't entertain any thoughts other than a victory on Saturday. And I like that mindset. I have a hard time getting into that mindset myself here today. Like I'm not considering any other outcome except victory. And you know what? That's a great way to live as a fan. Like, you can enjoy this week. You're not thinking about anything else about, if it doesn't work, you'll get there if it happens, but you're not even thinking about that. You're sending all your positive energy, down to the Maize and Blue. And, I think that's great. And you know what? it helps for this week just to have fun that way. Like if you're like, somebody said, you think Michigan's going to win? Yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to do it. I don't care about what happened before. I think, they've got the team this year and, they're ready to get it done. And, that'll make you, you feel great all the way through until Saturday. And when somebody says, give a prediction, you say, Michigan 28-21. And that also feels good to just be able to go out there and pick Michigan to win a game. It's not fun on the other side. Like if you're speaking to a bunch of Michigan fans and you'd say, well, I think this, and they're like, I don't want to hear you. I got enough of that. I don't want any negativity this week. So I get that part. And, for me, how I feel on this day, I am reminded as somebody that goes back to the 70s as a kid jumping over my couch. I remember in college football is my favorite sport out of all of them. I like pro football, but I like college football better. And it was Brent Musburger dialing up this game and talking about Bo versus Woody and just how it was for all the marbles and everything else. And, it was me diving over the couch and, Musburger telling me I'm looking live at the Horseshoe or Indian Arbor. That fired me up. And then, I go through and just think about 95 and 96 where Michigan was a big-time underdog in both of those games, and nobody was giving him any chance. And those were great wins. Biaka Batuka had 313 yards. Sean Springs slipped in 96 down at the Horseshoe, and Ty Streets went the distance. Michigan won that game 13-7. Those great victories over Ohio State, even though Michigan had 4 losses. But you know what? 97, the two met with, no losses. And, to play for a chance to win a championship, that's what it's all about. And that's why you go to, 2003 was awesome, where Michigan won that game, and it was the 100th meeting, and Chris Perry and John Navarre got the victory. That was great. And then 2006 was going to be the game of the century. Again, both teams meeting with everything on the line there, and just what that means when it's about this game and about this rivalry if you're a Michigan fan. And then you got to go to this Harbaugh era. And, all the way through in 2015, 2015 was better than I thought, when Harbaugh came aboard. And, even heading into that last game, I didn't think Michigan was going to win in 2015, but you know what? They had a chance if they won that game and got some help that it was going to be a storybook start. And of course, in 2016, it was everything on the line there, all shoved in. And that was the JT Barrett, could have been called the other way. Well, some Michigan fans, continue. They're not entering in their mind at all that, that the Barrett got that first down. It was the refs that caught him. I understand that line of thinking. It was so close. It could have gone either way. 2018, Michigan was there again and had the chance to do it down in Columbus. And you had watched the games all year long. You had to think that Michigan not only had a chance, they were probably going to win that game or had a good chance to win the game. They didn't. So here we are again after last year and thinking about Michigan having a chance. And I go back to thinking about what I was predicting in the offseason and then just how I felt about everything. And then I looked across the board at experts and what they were, experts, people that covered Michigan, fans. Nobody was picking Michigan to win more than 8 games. Maybe there was one person that would say 9, but I didn't see anybody saying 10 wins. And I didn't see anybody talking about winning 11. And you know what? You really couldn't. Going in and talking about, beating Ohio State and going to the college football playoff, it's great to say before the season, but you couldn't really say that. But you could say that now. I mean, you can say that heading into this week. You can say that, and that's the great part, being able to have it all on the line there and getting ready for it coming up on Saturday. So that's how I'm feeling right now to be in this position. And people treat this differently. Every single person. There's a lot of people that are already thinking about, what happens if Saturday, and either way, and thinking about, if it's a loss, how am I? To me, there's no reason to deal with that right now. I mean, if I'm asked a question about it, I would answer it. But, my mindset is enjoying this week, thinking about this game and everything that I like about college football and Michigan and this rivalry and all that, and then see, how it plays out coming up on Saturday, and then I deal with what happens afterwards. And, going through this season, I go to the Nebraska game. Michigan was going to have a bye week, the following Saturday. And they went out there and they had given up their first lead of the season, and it looked hairy back and forth, 22 points for Nebraska. I mean, there was 5 minutes in there where it looked like Michigan was going to lose the game. Then it came back. Then it looked like they were going to lose it again. And then they won it. And then, I've heard people talk about after that game, well, they're not going to win this game. They're not going to win that one. They were lucky to beat Nebraska. Nebraska's not any good. All those things. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy the win, and I'm going to enjoy the bye week. And I saw during the bye week that people were coming out and saying things like, I hate bye weeks. I just want Michigan to play again. And I thought, you know what? I'm enjoying the bye week. And I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed Michigan not losing, and all of the things that, and the good feelings that I could remember from years past about, seasons that where U of M was having some success, and just how good it felt. And, there had been a lot of weeks in there and seasons where it didn't feel good. So to have that feeling, and right now I've got that feeling again. I'm feeling pretty good, feeling optimistic, and really looking forward to Saturday. Now, about Saturday specifically, let's see if I can hear a little bit more Jim Harbaugh, who down at his news conference a little bit earlier, and zip forward a little bit. He talked for a little bit longer. Let's see if I can get Jim on the left.
How often in your daily life, whether out to dinner or around campus, does someone mention you beating Ohio State?
As often as it is on my own mind.
We'll say that's a lot.
Yeah, you guys are up, I think, 6 or 7 minutes in time of possession over the last year. How much of an effect from a cumulative standpoint has it had on the defense and their level of freshness?
Yeah, it's great complimentary football being played by our team this year. Time of possession has been something we've been really good at, sustaining drives, picking up first downs offensively, and not turning the ball over. Defense has gotten stops, and special teams has gotten the ball back for the offense in really good field position. All those things, offense, defense, special teams, have been extremely good in terms of complimentary football.
In the back right, Aaron.
Jim, after the game on Saturday, Katie acknowledged kind of the big stage ahead of him. He said this is one of the reasons why he came to Michigan, was to play in this game. I'm wondering, as a former quarterback at Michigan and having played in this one, what's the build-up, the week like ahead of the Ohio State game?
Yeah, for everybody, everybody coaches, players. It's about having good days and even great days. You want these to be the best days we've had all season, best meetings, best practices, great days, and then go play the game. The individual role, understanding your role, preparing for what your role is going to be, stay in that role and even star in that role is what our guys are prepared for.
In the middle.
Jim, when it comes to this game, when student athletes leave Michigan, whether it's 5 or 10 years from now, they're always asked about how they do against their rival. What have you said to your guys about the legacy that they can leave this Saturday?
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity in that regards. It's whether it's said or not said, it's known.
On the right, Larry.
Jim, can you describe the Ohio drill to us more or less, and how that came about and how much you hope it helps you on Saturday?
Yeah, it's a run drill. It's a run drill and a run stopping drill. all runs are between the tackles. It's physicality, emphasis on Ohio State, and keeping them on our minds on every day of practice.
When did you start that?
First day of spring.
On the left, Chris.
There he is, Jim Harbaugh, just a little while ago down in Ann Arbor. Here's a little bit more from him.
Is long, athletic, very physical, really good at taking on blocks, defeating blocks, getting off blocks, condensing holes with their athleticism and length and their physicality, and blocking is going to be at a paramount. And again, it'll be channeling Bo and Woody, blocking and tackling. The game will, in large part, come down to it.
So blocking and tackling as a key from Jim Harbaugh in his weekly press conference, Ohio State. Now, that's the Wolverine Den posted there on the message board on the Maize and Blue Review. Michigan will win if, and I asked people to answer the question. First one answering, Mac Daddy, 76-57. If they score more points than Ohio State. All right. Let's go to Blue Monster. Do not turn the ball over. They will win if they don't turn the ball over. That's not a bad one. Not a bad one. Now, here's more keys from Blue Monster. They do not give up any pass plays deeper than 20 yards. Well, I already talked about that. If you think that Michigan's not going to give up any pass plays over 20 yards, you're going to be disappointed. They are going to give some up. They're going to give up some big plays. Now, getting into, and that's my key for the game, they're going to limit those to under 5. Now, you can give up some of those, and we've seen it go different ways, but this is what we do talking about the game coming up. You can give up some big plays. Hopefully you're not giving them up over 50 yards, and those 20-yarders are right around 20-yarders. And to add on to that, hopefully you're only giving up 1 or 2. And then, maybe 3, maybe 4. But you start giving up 5 plays of 20 or more, you're going to be in for it. And that was my key. So, I'm going to disagree with Blue Monster a little bit. You could turn the ball over. And you can give up. I don't know if they're going to turn the ball over. That'd be great. Like if you told me that Michigan wasn't going to turn the ball over, wherever I feel, and I feel all right, here on a Monday about winning the game. If you told me that, hey, they're not going to turn the ball over, I'm going to say, well, that's a guaranteed win. I'm going to say, well, that's good. That makes me feel even a little bit better. Now, if you told me that they didn't give up any plays of 20 yards or more, I would feel like Michigan was going to win this game. But I think they're going to give up some. But if they can give up fewer than 5, then I think they're going to be cooking here. Here's more from Blue Monster. Do not give up a special teams TD. Yeah, I don't know what the numbers are this year or overall, but when you give up a special teams TD, it is a gigantic uphill climb. I would bet that it is something above 75% in any football game. If we're just talking about Michigan, if we're just talking about the Big Ten, Michigan against a team and they gave up a special teams touchdown or they scored one, I would think that Michigan would, the team that got the special teams touchdown won 75% or more. So yeah, I think special teams and not giving up a score for sure, getting one, makes you feel pretty good about where you're going to be in there. Those things can be overcome, like anything can be overcome in this one. But yeah, I think out of all of those, don't give up a special team score and get one. Those things can be great equalizers or the reason actually you come away and you get that win. I think about Michigan just for a second, back to Maryland in the second half when all those touchdowns were being scored, and Maryland had a little. They rose up just for a second, got some scores. Tagovailoa, ran one in. But in that, Michigan got the ball back to A.J. Henne, who took the kickoff. Well, it was the throwback. It was an awesome play call there on special teams. That was a backbreaker, I think, there for the Terps. But thanks for weighing in, Blue Monster. He was asking me if I agree. There you go. Some of the feedback there. Wolverine Den talking about Michigan will win the game if. All right. Now, how do I feel about Saturday? Michigan is an 8-point underdog, and they are at home. I think the other part where how Michigan ends up getting this done, I think their offensive line, and I think Hassan Haskins. I mean, you can start going down like, yeah, they're going to need everyone else, and I get that. But if I then zero in on a unit and a player, I'm going to zero in on that offensive line, and I'm going to go to Hassan Haskins. And I know going back to the Super Bowl where the Buffalo Bills had Marv Levy and they had Andre Reed and Thurman Thomas, and it was the K-gun offense, and it was unstoppable there for the Buffalo Bills. And the Giants came in with Bill Parcells, and they had Otis Anderson, and their game plan was, to win time of possession by a landslide and, score a touchdown here or there and just keep that K-gun offense over on the side. I thought that's what Michigan State game plan was going to be against Ohio State. They came out and they were trying to hit some pass plays and they're trying to stay up with, that thing went sideways quick. But I think if Michigan is going to win this game, I think, 95, 313 yards for Haskins. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But do I think that Hassan Haskins and the way that he runs behind that offensive line can be pivotal in keeping that Buckeye offense? And then, if you are keeping over there and you're limiting those possessions, and then if the defense can get yourself a stop or two or a turnover here or there, that's how it's going to get done. Like, I don't think Michigan is going to win this game coming up on Saturday by getting into a shootout and saying, hey, Cade, you got to go back there and you got to deal. You got to throw the ball 40 times and you got to, match Ohio State and CJ Stroud. And this has to be some aerial war. I don't think Michigan's going to win a game like that. But do I think if they're having success with that offensive line and they're winning the time of possession and, they keep this thing close and then they just make the big plays there in the second half where it comes down to that, do I think they got a shot? I do. I think they have a shot. I like how the defense, of course, is playing, but, how you stop a great passing attack is being able to pressure the QB. They get some pressure on that QB, and they're able to play in that back end. They're going to give up some plays, but you get a couple stops. You make a couple plays, and that's how you beat Ohio State. I go back. I was at a memorial the day Ohio State played Oregon, and it was halftime. I had left, and I was going over my mom's house, and I looked before I got in the car. I was just a couple minutes away from my mom's, and I looked, and it was 14-7 Oregon at the half, and I was like, whoa, that's a surprise. And I went in there and watched that second half, and, Oregon, they were showing the highlights right before they hit the field and everything, gigantic run, but almost every possession, almost every play that I watched, Oregon, when they beat Ohio State at the Horseshoe, man, they were just making it wasn't any fluke. It wasn't any they got this kind of player. Man, every down, you could see not only intensity, you could see the focus, and you know what? You could see the belief that Oregon thought that they were going to beat Ohio State. I mean, they seized the momentum. They were making and all the way through, offense and defense. I mean, when Ohio State did get a score, boom, Oregon came back, smacked them in the mouth, and answered all the way through. That's what Michigan is going to have to do coming up on Saturday. Oh, you want to hear from more from Jim Harbaugh, who talked early this afternoon? Let's see where I'm at with this. Let's zip it forward a little bit here to the single digits and see where I'm at here.
Go to us more or less and how that came about.
That was we heard that one. That was about the tackling drill.
Emphasis on Ohio State and keeping them on our minds on every day of practice.
When did you start that?
First day of spring.
first day of spring, talking about the tackling drills. Here's a little bit more from Jim Harbaugh.
Really athletic. The defensive front is long, athletic, very physical, really good at taking on blocks, defeating blocks, getting off blocks, condensing holes with their athleticism and length and their physicality. And blocking is going to be a paramount. And again, it'll be channeling Bo and Woody, blocking and tackling. The game will, in large part, come down to it.
On the right, Ryan.
Jim, what stands out about Ohio State's receiving corps?
Just how good they are, how dynamic, their route running ability, their catching ability, their speed to all parts of the field, horizontally, vertically. Really outstanding.
On the right, Gene.
Jim, back in July, you said about this rivalry, we're either going to get there or we're going to die trying. How does that quote come to life this week with you and your team?
It comes to life, comes all the way to life.
In what way?
It's here. It's happening.
In the back left, Jennifer.
Hey, Jim, can you just talk about your team's demeanor and how impressed you've been with kind of the workmanlike week by week to get to this point, and now how that edge changes that you have all of your goals still right in front of you?
Exactly. And it's what I said earlier, when you ask how are the players, how they handle themselves, that's how they've handled themselves. It's been get to work, and boy, another guy, to work with him, work beside him, been contagious.
Just to follow up on that, I'm wondering or curious to know, do you try to prepare them as if this is just another game, keep your head on, stay focused, or do you say, this is what it's all about? How do you attack that?
Yeah, we prepare for it like it is the game.
What does that include?
Everything I talked about earlier, the rivalry and the playoff game. The winner gets to keep playing and the loser does not.
On the left, Michael.
Jim, what are some of the things Jay has done this year with the special teams unit to take?
Well, there he is, Jim Harbaugh. You know what? At first, going through some of that news conference there, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm not feeling it. I'm Jim maybe just going around kind of using his jab a little bit there, but Wojciechowski trying to come over the top with more, probing questions about getting him to say something about this game over here. And my favorite quote, it's here, it's happening. That's where we're at right now. It is happening. It is happening right now at 1:33 on this Monday, November the 22nd. It is happening. It is here. The spotlight is on the game. And you should be fired up if you're a Michigan fan. You should enjoy the week here. You should think about all the possibilities that can happen if they're able to get a win. Do you not do that because you're afraid of, of dreaming and then, knowing, how this thing is gone? I mean, I get all of that. I get everything that comes down to there. The one thing that I was thinking, talking about this all the time last year, the year before, I think it was the year before the pandemic. And, there were a lot of people that were like, they got to move on. They got to get another coach and everything else. And I got that. After the 62-point affair in 2018, I completely understood that. But I asked myself, put myself in the shoes of Ward Manuel. You get to make the call. And I told people that, I still think that Jim Harbaugh is the right guy to coach at Michigan, because even though after the 62 points, it was really hard to say. And I'm sure it was hard to hear from a lot of people who are like, what? Come on. the Ohio State issue, like say, they got to take it more seriously. They've got to, they got to understand the rivalry. You know what? Nobody understands that rivalry more than Jim Harbaugh. And I know he was coming up short. And I kept saying that. Now, the truth is that I kept saying that up until last year. And last year, how the team played and how they performed and just how Jim Harbaugh looked, it all looked like to me that it had come to an end. And if I was in the shoes of the athletic director, I didn't like how the whole thing went down. When signing day was approaching and, there was still uncertainty with the contract. And I thought, I still do, that, Jim was trying to get an NFL job. And if the Bears wouldn't have made the playoffs last year, I think Jim Harbaugh would have been the head coach of the Chicago Bears. What I'm saying is I was going to move on. But you know what? He came back this year and, he's different. He looks different. He's coaching different. And of course, the team has responded and, nothing like some wins to change everything around and turn that frown upside down. And that's, where we're at here. And I would say that if I was Ward Manuel, I'm glad that I'm not, because I would have made that change and who knows where we'd be sitting right now. But I'm glad he didn't, because I have reversed. And I'm not flip-flopping all the time. Oh, there's a loss. He's out. He's a win. Contract extension. You can drive yourself crazy. But I did think after last year that I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I see it now. It's here. It's happening. And while there will be people that are watching this and saying, oh, man, you're just whatever. I'm clinging to a great story, that the possibility of, can you imagine a coach that used to play here and everything looked like it was lost. And even the most ardent supporters were ready to move on. And there was the big goose egg there. And there were 62 points. And the opposing coach never lost a Big Ten game and was talking about hanging 100 on this coach. And then he turned it around. And if that happens on Saturday, to be able to get that W very meaningful. More than that, the biggest game, all of those things. And, it's great to have it mean something. And now if they can go out there and deliver, of course, that's the big thing. Going out there and delivering and being at home, that part's nice. I do like that part. So, yeah, so that's how I'm thinking about the incredible story where, you thought coming in 2015 that there were going to be weeks like this and chances like this and that Michigan was going to get there. I don't know about fair share, but at some point, that they were going to get a shot. And I'm not thinking about the college football playoff here today. But am I thinking about Indianapolis? I mean, it's like I look out over there. I'm like, it doesn't even seem like there's part of that doesn't seem like it's possible, but I know it is. I know that if Michigan wins on Saturday, that they're going to Indy for the first time ever. It'd be incredible. So that's the prize, and that, and so do I. Jim Harbaugh seems to be pretty clear that he knows about it too. Can I get more from Jim Harbaugh here towards the end? He was cooking. He was cooking so much that maybe I can get a little bit more from him here. Let's see. Where's he at? There's Jim. That we had that one.
Each guy staying in their role and guys starring in those roles. Jay's done a great job coordinating it and creative.
Talking special teams.
Prepared each and every week.
Right,
and goes to the tight ends who also are prepared and doing well each and every week.
Jim likes the tight ends and special teams coach.
All right, Bob.
He should.
Jim, you mentioned the Ohio drill. With Michigan's record against Ohio State being what it is, did you feel like coming into this season that needed to be cranked up a little bit? The emphasis needed to be cranked up a little bit. Is that part of that?
Is like I explained, that a couple times. I mean, this is a game, you got to channel both. You got to channel the blocking and the tackling, sustaining blocks, getting off blocks, and making tackles.
So
Blocking and tackling.
So the recent record or the whatever, that doesn't add to how desperately you guys want it?
Just what this game, is about and what you got to get good at to have best chance of winning it.
Got time for a couple more. We'll start on the left first.
Thanksgiving during game week look like? Will you have families here or will it just be business?
Yeah, there'll be a lot of families here. There'll be a lot of families that come into town, of course, to see their sons and share Thanksgiving and also the game to support their sons in the ballgame.
Do you guys do something together?
All right.
We are going to have practice.
Yep.
And really good meetings. We'll start early. Guys, and then the guys will be able to get with their family and friends about 1 o'clock.
Time for the Lions.
Speaking of Thanksgiving, yesterday Blake Corum donated.
All right, there he is, Jim Harbaugh. So if you're just tuning in right now, you can go back all the way to the beginning. You've listened to the podcast. You've heard a little bit what Jim Harbaugh had to say here, and I think you'll have to agree with me if I can sum up his press conference today. Jim, how big of a week is it here? Can you put it into words? It is happening. It is here. It's for everything. Continue to play. If you don't, you're out. Jim, what are the keys to this game? He's been pretty emphatic there because he said it multiple times. The key to the game coming up against Ohio State this Saturday, according to Jim Harbaugh, blocking, tackling. Now, if I go to my own keys, which I talked about keeping Ohio State under 5 plays when Michigan's on defense, keeping them under 5 plays of 20 or more, tackling can really come in big there. Give up a crossing route over the middle, tackle, get them onto the ground. So tackling coming, being important there. And then blocking, I do think if Michigan wins this game, Hassan Haskins is going to be the number 1 star. And, you can pick your own, you can go, but go with the obvious. Why is Michigan in the position that they are this year? Well, you know what? They're in the position because their offense, they went to a predominantly ground game. This was a ground and pound season. We saw it in the non-conference against Washington. It continued that way. This is a run-first team. You might not like it. You might think this is not how it's going to get done against Ohio State. I'm going to disagree with you. I think if Michigan wins against Ohio State, it's going to be a very similar game plan as it's been all year long. It's going to be coming out, and it's going to be a lot of runs, and it's going to be taking that time of possession away. It's not going to be lining up and saying, okay, let's see if we can run a fast break and have an Ohio State tempo. If Michigan is having success running and keeping Ohio State up, you're going to know. You're going to know this is a Michigan-type game. You go back to Saturday against Michigan State. It was clear. Boom, touchdown. Michigan State panicking. Let's get away from the run. We got to start throw. Over. It was over quick. It was Ohio State tempo from the beginning. Now, that's a bad example because that was an ambush. Michigan State never had a chance. Whatever, their game plan, they got overwhelmed, and it was over. It was over quick. Never seen a game, but I've felt like Michigan State fans before in that game, just looking there and being like, wow, what just happened? He smacked upside the head. Michigan needs to play their game and have their tempo, and that's going to involve running and then taking shots off of that, and then playing defense the way that we've seen at their best they can do. They can get pressure with 4 up front, especially with their defensive ends, especially with 97. especially with 55 coming off the edge. And then to Harbaugh's point about tackling, we've seen with the linebackers and if they're playing well and the safeties too coming up. I think about Rod Moore making that stop, helping to make that stop on Dotson on that third down at Penn State. Good tackling. To Jim Harbaugh's point. All right, that's where I'm at with it. And let's see. A little bit more from Antoine. Let's see here. Antoine does not like my recipe for success. Playing conservative is not a good recipe for winning. It keeps Ohio State within striking distance. Yeah, well, I don't foresee, Antoine, Michigan somehow going out there and pouring points on them and making it a quick strike passing game. Ohio State can come back from any point. They got to play. They got to get some stops there. Ohio State's going to score. You'll hear it a lot this week. Michigan's got to not settle for field goals. They got to get touchdowns. That sounds good. Do I think they need to score 30 points to win this game? It's going to be pretty close to that. I don't think Michigan's going to win a 40. It's going to be like 45, 40. I don't think Michigan's going to win that kind of game, but do I think that they can win it 30-27? I think so. I think it's going to be a little bit I haven't made my pick. When am I going to make my pick? Wednesday. I'll make my pick on Wednesday. I'm thinking about it. You have to continue to put those matchups. Which way am I leaning? I'd like to tell you I'm leaning towards Michigan. Are you leaning towards Michigan? If you're leaning towards Michigan, does it mean that you're a Michigan fan, that you're hoping beyond hope? Or do you really, can you be objective? I mean, all those things, those are the things that are entering my mind right now. Because I would like, and here's the thing about it. It's fun. It's easy. And those are the two things when it comes down if you're just picking Michigan. Like right now, I'm broadcasting out there to Michigan fans. Maybe there'll be some crazy Buckeyes getting in there just like wanting to pounce. Wanting to see like, oh yeah, they're going to make a pick. But when you're people want to hear, they want to feel good this week. They don't want to hear about the possibility of losing. Enjoy it, enjoy it while you can. You know what? And I'm with that. I think enjoying it while you can this week. Doesn't mean you have to stick your chest out and talk about winning the game for sure, making any guarantees. Maybe you want to make a guarantee like Jim Harbaugh. Most people that are making guarantees and sticking their chest out have probably done the same thing over the last 15 years. 16 years. That's all right. So that's it. That's how I feel. It'd be an incredible story. Michigan's able to do it. Be amazing. All right, I want to give you a thought on basketball, who they have played 5 games, and as you probably know by now, they dropped that game to Arizona last night in the main event out in Vegas, and things unraveled for U of M. You're going to get beat in some games, but the manner that they got beat by the Wildcats was, wasn't good. I know a lot of people saying Michigan needs a third scorer. I agree with that. I think that Michigan needs a third scorer. They need a four scorer. They need to play better defense. They really need to do everything better. Besides Eli Brooks and maybe and Musa Diabate, if I want to throw, what was I expecting from Frankie Collins or Kobe Buffkin? I mean, I don't know. But I haven't been disappointed with Eli Brooks or Musa Diabate. Everybody else I can look at and say, you know what? I was expecting a little bit more. Even though Hunter Dickinson's been pretty good, I was expecting a little bit more from him. And really, I mean, it's tough. This is why when you love recruiting, you get excited, wow, this guy could be the greatest player ever. And, he's a 5-star. And, I'm talking about Caleb Houston. He's, you already see him in mock drafts. He's gone. He's gone to the NBA. He's a one and done. He's a McDonald's All-American. He's going to light it up. And he hasn't. He can. Getting he can turn it around. But a lot was when you come in that heralded and what Michigan was losing there. They really needed Houston to be a volume 3 shooter, and he needed to be a knockdown 3-point shooter. And he hasn't been anything close to that yet. That doesn't mean that he can't be, but he needs to be. If Michigan is going to be able to turn this around and be a factor in the Big Ten and then be a factor in the NCAA, they're going to need that. Now, it's not just on him because besides Brooks and besides Diabate, I can look at everybody and I could probably take a look at Diabate and say, like, you want more games like, Friday than, the other 4 games. But, he's only played 5 games. And we've seen those flashes from him. So I don't think it's completely all over, but getting dunked on like they were, I think this is a pivotal point. I don't think that we're going to be sitting here in a month and being like, yeah, it's uncertain, that you're going to know. And I think that, you can point to this Vegas trip and you can say, man, they were only getting play from just about Brooks and, and you'll know in a month and saying, you know what, you could see it in Vegas. Or you could say, you know what, you can see it in Vegas. And they really started getting better each and every game since then and came together. Well, you'll know that. That's where I'm at. You want to hear that the season is over? You've come to the wrong place. I don't think that. If you want me to tell you that everything's great and it's just going to be a matter of time, these guys could put it together, I'm not sure about that. I was very bullish on this team, like a lot of people before the season, and watching them play last night, that was disappointing all over. All right. Oh, I do got 2 more things: the Michigan Recruiting Spotlight and the Memorabilia Minute. They're 2 staples, and for the Michigan Recruiting Spotlight, it's going to be on this game coming up. This, let's see if can I put this? Let's scroll that one in here. Boom. I'm sorry. It's taking me a second. There it is. Recruiting Spotlight. It's about Damani Jackson, the 5-star corner out of California. He's coming in. A couple weeks ago, he was down at Alabama for the LSU game, and he decommitted from USC. What Michigan has going for him is that he's friends with Will Johnson, the Michigan corner. And if you look back at his past comments, he said it's been a dream school of his. Coming up on December the 15th is the first time that the early signing period takes place. Jackson has indicated that he is going to make his pick on December 15th. He is going to be in Ann Arbor, Damani Jackson, coming up this Saturday. In Michigan, there's a lot of different things that people are talking about. One is that the name, image, and likeness, Michigan has some sort of plan to offer up to Jackson, like, hey, whatever Alabama is talking about, Michigan's ready to step up to the plate with that, whatever kind of proposal they have. It would be nice if that proposal came out this week and kind of bowled everybody over, and then it just rolled right in, and Jackson was like, wow, I'm going to be the first recipient of this. And then other 5-stars took a look and like, man, look at what Michigan's doing. NFTs or whatever they've got, movie deals. I don't know. Podcast appearances. I don't think they're going to make the cash doing that, but it's something to keep an eye on. One thing that Bama's got a bunch of things going their way. An additional thing is Bryce Young, their quarterback. He was the quarterback at the high school at Mater Dei where Damani Jackson is right now. So there's another thing that the Tide have going for him. But Michigan gets that last visit, or at least they get this visit coming up 2 weeks before signing day. I don't know. Maybe he ends up going somewhere else. He goes to an SEC championship. I don't know where he ends up going. But I do know that he's supposed to be in Ann Arbor this Saturday, and Michigan can make their last pitch. And you know what? It feels like with this recruiting class that Jackson, if they were able to do it, Michigan is sitting at, with rivals, their team ranking at 18. They've got 18 commitments and they're ranked 18. Michigan State's sitting there at 16. If Michigan was able to get a commitment and then actually get Damani Jackson, that would you would think, looking at the numbers there, that would put them in front of Michigan State, which is a small thing, but not that small. but it would get them closer to 10. And if this whole thing breaks out over the next month where U of M's got this plan and they get Jackson, I think that could break a seal here, and they could get a little late run on some big names and pull them in. That could be cool. That could be great for them. All right, and that's what I have going on here with the Michigan Recruiting Spotlight. Every day for 1 minute, I pull some kind of piece of memorabilia up, and this today is an old dirty hat. But if you go back to 2003, maybe you were there. You can see right on there, maybe if it's close enough, that it's from the 2003 game. Somebody bought me this hat that was at the game. And, now it's kind of beat up all these years. Oh, yeah. He also got me an autograph. That is, who's that? Number 7. I think that's Drew Henson. Not sure of that. It was a gift. But I don't think I'm getting any money for it. But as far as memorabilia goes, hey, it's already getting pretty. This is almost a 20-year-old hat. How many Michigan wins do you got since this one over Ohio State? Because they got the win in 2003. One. That's it. All right. That's going to do it here. Jim Harbaugh, to recap, it's happening. It's here. His keys to victory coming up on Saturday. It's, according to Jim Harbaugh, blocking and tackling.
I think that's a great thing for us, and looking forward to playing in front of a big, wildly supportive Michigan crowd base.
Talk with you tomorrow.